Two men were exploring a secret cave at night when, suddenly, a collapse occurred. The old Charlie, 67 years old, ended up blocking the only exit, while his companion was trapped in a dead end. However, an unexpected light appeared at the back of the cave, allowing him to escape alone. The incident took place in 1973 in Florida. That night, Pike was talking to Charlie about an unnamed cave he had found behind a farm. Since both were cave exploration enthusiasts, they immediately decided to investigate it. Despite Charlie's wife's persistent pleas for him not to go, he joked that at 67, he still had an adventurous spirit. And so, the two disappeared into the darkness of the night. Soon, they found the cave Pike had mentioned. Without hesitation, they entered one after the other through an extremely narrow opening. It didn't take long for them to pass through a nearly 90-degree tunnel, but when they reached the end, they realized there was no way forward. Frustrated, they accepted that their exploration had reached its end and started heading back. At that moment, a deafening crash echoed through the cave. The ceiling collapsed on Charlie, pinning his legs under a massive rock. He tried to move but realized he could no longer feel the lower half of his body. Pike, who was ahead, couldn't turn around to help, but Charlie's screams made it clear they were trapped. The next morning, Charlie's wife noticed he hadn't returned home and called the police. Rescue teams and volunteer explorers began searching for them. On the third day, one of the teams finally found them. Unfortunately, Charlie showed no signs of life, having succumbed to dehydration and hypothermia. Pike, however, was still responding to calls. The rescuers began supplying glucose to Pike through a tube and tried to widen the passage to first remove Charlie's body and then rescue Pike. However, the unstable rocks increased the risk of another collapse, making the rescue operation extremely slow. 3 days later, when they called for Pike again, there was no response. Just as they were about to give up, another collapse occurred inside the cave. The loud crash woke Pike, who started shouting had seen a light. Later, it was discovered that the dead-end wall had collapsed, allowing light to enter through an opening. This reignited the rescuers' hope. The team expanded the passage and decided to amputate parts of Charlie's body to make room. Meanwhile, another group searched for an alternative exit. Shortly after, they found a relatively wider path and managed to reach Pike. Using hand tools, they broke the rocks around him and finally pulled him out of the cave. A medical team was waiting at the exit and immediately took him to the hospital. 2 hours later, Charlie's body was successfully removed. In his honor, the locals named the cave Charlie's Passage. As for Pike, he survived to tell his story and declared, "You can always trust the light.